Hey guys, Hippie Hebrew Homestead here. We're going to be bottling wine today. So into the sanitation station, I'm boiling my bottles. I'm preheating the ones that haven't gone in yet right here. So they'll get in there, they'll do their thing. I gotta wash my hands, which you'll see. They'll get washed, but everything gets sanitized. Everything has to be clean. Everything's scoured. Anything that your juice is gonna touch, or your wine, it's got to be sanitized. There's two ways, right? I like using Star San, which it's a Star sanitizer. It's a really good acid-based sanitizer. Or you can, if you don't have any sanitizer, your best bet is to get boiling hot water and put all your tools in it. Anything that, like I said, anything that your juice is touching, you want it sanitized. Boiling water has to touch it, or you sanitize it with Star San. Even then, you still have to use scalding hot water, like 160 to 180 degrees, along with the sanitizer, to kill anything that might ruin your delicious wine. So, carrying on. What we have here is a 6-gallon batch of Wisconsin red grapes. I wasn't too confident on how these would turn out, but right now I wanted to show you what the process of bottling it is, or how we bottle it here on the homestead. As you can see, I've already got my line, already has some of the juice in it, and I've got these sanitized bottles. I've got a little bend on it so it goes just down to the neck. And then what I do, if you want to come in closer, is I'll fill it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it very well, but I fill it till it gets to or just above that filling tube. And I like to go a little bit slower so that my wine doesn't aerate. But you're really just filling it up to the neck. Almost there. And then I start lifting it up. See how my liquid just went right back down the tube there? I'll take this. By the way, my hands are clean. You know, sanitation is everything when you're bottling wine. Everything has been sanitized. So, there you go. There's a good bottle of wine. So, I've got my bottler here. If you want to come step in a little closer, just kind of show this area. This is my aid for getting the hot bottles out of the sanitation station over here. But I'm gonna roll my sleeves up. Really, there's not much to it. I've got a hand bottler. I'm steaming my corks so that they go in a little bit easier. Open this up, put your cork all the way in there, and then put it on a nice stable surface. Sometimes they don't want to go all the way in with this hand bottler. I'd like to get a floor bottler because it's much nicer and more uniform. I don't know if you can see it, but on the tip of this bottle there is a little bit of a ring. Not that it really matters. I mean, it's a cork. It's going to get ripped out of there anyways when you go to enjoy this. But I mean, it's a real simple process. Nothing too fancy, but I'm expecting. I've already got. This is my 9th bottle. We're probably looking at about 25 to 30 bottles of delicious red wine from this batch, and this is all from scratch. Our neighbors gave us, if you want to follow me around the corner here, our neighbors ended up giving us probably about 50 pounds of grapes from local vineyards. That it's not even a vineyard, it's just random sweet grapes they found around. I mean, there's just, you wouldn't think in Wisconsin that there's a bunch of grapes, but I mean, you go down the road and there's just grapes everywhere. Nice wild grapes that aren't sprayed, by the way, if you know where to look. Okay, so now that we've bottled, and I have 1,000,003 bottles behind me lining everything, as you can see here. then there's a couple here. We've got a little bit left over to try some out. And that's just what we're gonna do here. So, this turned out pretty nice. And, I mean, it looks pretty good. This is the bottom right there. Has a good smell to it, like any typical red wine, and has it's a little tart, dry, but on the back end it's got a sweet aftertaste, and I would definitely have this with a very nice steak or venison or sheep, any red meat. I mean, of course, we're biblically clean eaters, but that's what I would have it with. I think it would pair well with a chili or some red meat, a nice steak, definitely a nice steak. Here comes Miss Hippie. And by no means am I an expert. I mean, you don't wake up an expert. You don't become an expert overnight either. This is probably my 6th batch of wine that I've made. This is totally from scratch grapes, and I'm actually pretty impressed. Like I said, I mean, you hear Wisconsin, you don't really think about grapes, but I mean, here we are. Oh man, that's a good dry wine. I'm thoroughly impressed myself. So I've got my bottles upright. They're all standing upright. I'm gonna leave them like that overnight because it does get a little cold in the house, which is what I want during this winter time, and just to make sure there's no further fermentation going on. And if none of the bottles have popped, we're good because it's all one batch. But if they do, then we've got a bit of a problem, and I'll have to correct it. But once that's done, we will seal it with beeswax and we'll put it on the wine rack. So, all right, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.